Hey NEET aspirants, I hope you all are doing great. So myself Madhu Yadav and I am here at Sri Chaitanya Gosala. I am a senior lecturer for Zoology. In today's session, we are going to discuss a very interesting and important topic according to NEET point of view, that is exchange of gases, right? First we'll discuss exchange of gases and then in the another lecture I'm going to discuss transport of gases. For that, we need to study, first of all, we need to understand in brief about the human respiratory system. In case of human respiratory system, you know that there is a human respiratory passage. Into the passage, the air will come and the air will come ultimately into the lungs. How the air will be taken, that will occur by the process of breathing. So, there is a process which is known as breathing or pulmonary ventilation. How breathing will occur, that is a different topic. I am not going to teach you today the mechanism of breathing, or it is also known as pulmonary ventilation. Pulmonary ventilation. So now, through the breathing, the first step of respiration is breathing, right? What is respiration? Simply, what is respiration? Respiration means we are going to ultimately talk about cellular respiration. That means in the cells of our body there is glucose, right? And that glucose is going to be broken down in the presence of oxygen. This is aerobic respiration, right? So in the presence of oxygen, this glucose will break down into carbon dioxide, which we do not want, we will release it out, and water and lots of energy. That is why we are performing and that is why we are studying this chapter, breathing and exchange of gases, right? So what is the purpose? The purpose is to get the oxygen. What is the purpose of getting the oxygen? The purpose is ultimately to get the energy. So we will get this energy when the cellular respiration will occur. So in the process of respiration, this is the last step. And what is the first step? This is the first step. So in the process of respiration, there are 5 steps. There are 5 steps in this whole process. The first step is breathing. The second step is exchange of gases, which I will discuss today with you. Exchange of gases. So what is the meaning? See, when we have taken air, the air will enter through our nose, right? External nostrils are there. From here, air will enter into the respiratory passage. Ultimately, it will come here into the lungs. Into the lungs, what is there? You can see so many alveoli are there. So alveoli, the alveoli are there. The vascularized bags are there, which are rich in blood vessels. So many blood capillaries are there here, right? So near to the inside the alveoli, the air will come. Now when the air will come into the alveoli, how the exchange of gases will occur? Here you can see the alveoli. In this alveolar cavity, what is going to come? Air is going to come. When air is going to come, then here there is a diffusion membrane. How this diffusion membrane is formed? There is a formation of diffusion membrane. This diffusion membrane is a tri-layered membrane. It has 3 layers. You can see these 3 layers. Among these 3 layers, in the 2 layers you will see the cells. So 2 are cellular layers and 1 is non-cellular layer. So can you see the alveoli? This alveoli has the alveolar cells. Hai na? Yes, can you see the alveoli? These are the cells of the alveoli, and alveoli is lined by simple squamous epithelium. So these are simple squamous epithelial cells. Simple squamous epithelium. Then you can see the blood capillary. I have told you that around the alveoli so many blood capillaries will be there. They are highly vascularized. So in the blood capillary also you can see this endothelium. This is the endothelium of the blood capillary. This is also simple squamous epithelium. We can also call it endothelium. These two layers are the cellular layer. In between the first and the second, in between the two cellular layers, you can see a basement substance here. Here you can see in between the alveolar wall and in between the blood capillary, wall of blood capillary, you can see this. What is this in between? This is basement substance. So there are three layers in the diffusion membrane. If the diffusion membrane thickness will be more, then the exchange of gases will occur at a slow rate. But if the thickness of the membrane is very less, then it will occur at a very fast rate. So the exchange of gases occurs through the diffusion membrane, and the rate of diffusion depends upon three factors. So let me tell you, the rate of diffusion depends upon three factors. What are these three factors? So diffusion membrane, exchange of gases will occur by simple diffusion. Exchange of gases will occur by simple diffusion. Simple diffusion means it will occur along the concentration gradient. One gas will diffuse to the other site based upon the pressure. Where the pressure is more, it will go towards the site where the pressure is less. I will tell you what is the pressure of air, what is the pressure of oxygen, what is the pressure of carbon dioxide in the alveoli, what is the pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the blood, and how the exchange of gases will be done. Right? So these are two gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Only the exchange of these two gases will occur in our body. Because we need oxygen, I have told you, cellular respiration to break down the glucose, right? And we will evolve carbon dioxide, which is not useful for us. So we will release it out, right? So exchange of oxygen and CO2 will occur. On the basis of partial pressure, it will occur. So let me tell you rate of diffusion. Let me tell you about the rate of diffusion. Rate of diffusion depends upon three factors. One is the partial pressure. What is the partial pressure, everyone? Partial pressure is that pressure which is exerted by an individual gas in a mixture of gases. Air, the air which is coming now, it is a mixture of gases. So in this air, what is the pressure exerted by only oxygen? That will be the partial pressure of oxygen. What is the pressure exerted by only CO2? That will be the partial pressure of CO2. So that is partial pressure. And how it will depend, how on the partial pressure the rate of diffusion will depend? The gas will diffuse from high partial pressure to low partial pressure. One more thing. If the difference between the partial pressure will be more, then the rate of diffusion will be more. Let me explain this. Let us suppose this is A site where the partial pressure is 100 of any gas, let us take oxygen, and at the B site the partial pressure is 50. So the difference is 50. Obviously the oxygen is going to diffuse from A to B site. But in the another case at A site it is again 100 and at B site let us suppose it is 30. So in the second case the difference is 70. So in which case the diffusion rate will be faster? In the second case. Difference will matter. If difference is less, rate of diffusion will be less. If difference is more, rate of diffusion will be more. Are you understanding the partial pressure? How the rate of diffusion depends upon the partial pressure? So now let us talk about the another factor that is the thickness of this diffusion membrane. Just now we have understood what is the diffusion membrane, right? So second is the thickness. I have told you if the thickness will be more, rate of diffusion will be less. So thickness of diffusion membrane is inversely proportional to rate of diffusion. It is inversely proportional to rate of diffusion. If you want that diffusion rate will be high, then this has to be, the thickness of the membrane has to be less. Then only the rate of diffusion will be high. Let us talk about the third factor. The third factor is the solubility. The third factor is the solubility of gas. Solubility. Solubility is directly proportional to rate of diffusion. Solubility is directly proportional to rate of diffusion. How? See, gases can get solubilized into the liquid, right? For example, you know about cold drinks. In the cold drink, under high pressure, that is a carbonated drink. So carbon dioxide is getting mixed, right? It is mixed. When you open the lid of the bottle, then you will see the sound comes, right? So that sound is of the CO2 that is coming out, right? So under high pressure, the solubility increases, right? If we compare the solubility of oxygen and carbon dioxide, then the solubility of CO2 is more than the oxygen. How much times more? Solubility of CO2 is 20 to 25 times more than oxygen. Solubility of CO2 is 20 to 25 times more than oxygen. So, tell me the solubility. Obviously, when we talk about how much percent of O2 is solubilized in the plasma of blood and how much percent of CO2 is solubilized in the plasma of blood, then that will be different. We will study that in transport of gases, right? So, here you can simply remember, if the solubility will be more, then rate of diffusion will be more. If the solubility of that gas will be less, then the rate of diffusion of that gas will be less, right? So, this is all about how the diffusion will occur, and the rate of diffusion will depend upon how many factors? 3 factors, and we have discussed these 3 factors. Now, I will tell you at 2 levels the exchange of gases will take place, right? So, what are these 2 levels? One is the alveolar level. Just now you have seen this alveoli, right? Just now you have seen this alveoli, and the another level is at the tissue level. Let me make tissues here. So, let us suppose these are tissues, beta, and let us suppose this is alveoli. Then you must be knowing about the blood circulation. You must be knowing that the blood which is present near to the alveoli is present in the pulmonary circulation. It is present in the pulmonary circulation. Do you know from where the blood is coming into the alveoli and which type of blood is coming into the alveoli? Do you know? So, see, in our heart, blood is coming and our heart is pumping that blood. You must have studied it in the structure of heart and in the cardiac cycle, that how the blood is coming, which type of blood is coming in which chamber of heart, right? So, from our right heart is the venous heart. It only receives deoxygenated blood. So, from the right heart, let us draw here. Let us consider that this is the right heart. Let us consider that this is the right heart. So, obviously in the right heart, the deoxygenated blood is there. Which blood is there? Deoxygenated blood is there. That means in this blood, so much of carbon dioxide is there, and how we will remove this carbon dioxide? When this blood will be pumped to the lungs, to the alveoli. So that means this blood is going to come near to the alveoli. The deoxygenated blood, how it will come out of heart, how it will come to the lungs? Through the pulmonary artery, right? So from the right heart. Then once the blood will become oxygenated, after throwing the CO2 and after taking the oxygen, the blood will become oxygenated, and oxygenated blood is present in our left heart. So let us consider this as the left heart. And in the left heart, which blood is present? Oxygenated blood is present. Oxygenated blood is present. Oxygenated blood is required by the tissues. So oxygenated blood will come near to the tissues. These are the tissues, and oxygenated blood is going to come near to the tissues, right? So this is the systemic circulation. This is systemic circulation, and in this systemic circulation, the blood is being provided by the left heart to all the body parts, to all the tissues in the body, right? Tissues are going to take the oxygen and tissues are going to release the carbon dioxide. I will show everything here, right? So now you understood that with the help of pulmonary artery, the deoxygenated blood of the heart going into the lungs, after taking the oxygen, the blood will become oxygenated, and that oxygenated blood is received by the left heart, right? How it will be received? By pulmonary veins. Two pair of pulmonary veins. One pair is coming from right lung, one pair is coming from left lung. Through the pulmonary veins, the oxygenated blood is coming to the left heart, and then from the left heart, again it is pumped into the body by aorta, and from the body, again when deoxygenated blood will go into the right heart, how it will go? It will go through the vena cavas. All this you have studied in the structure of heart, double circulation, how the double circulation will occur. In double circulation, we are talking about pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Here, the main thing which I am going to discuss with you is exchange of gases. How the exchange of gases will take place. So, to understand exchange of gases, we need to understand the partial pressure values. See, this is the atmospheric air. This is what? This is atmospheric air. In the atmospheric air, you need to remember the partial pressure of oxygen and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. The partial pressure of oxygen is 159 mm of Hg, and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 0.3 mm of Hg. Similarly, in the alveoli, the partial pressure of oxygen is 104 and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 40. In our body, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide value, the lowest value is 40, right? So, it will be 40 here and it will be 40 in the oxygenated blood. In the oxygenated blood also CO2 will be less, na? And in the tissues and in the deoxygenated blood, the CO2 will be more. So, if CO2 is more here, then the partial pressure of CO2 is 45. The higher value in our body is 45 and the lower value is 40. Right, everyone? In our body, whether it is alveoli, whether it is tissues, whether it is oxygenated blood, whether it is deoxygenated blood, the lower value of CO2 will be 40, higher value of CO2 will be 45. That's what you have to remember. So, obviously, where the carbon dioxide is forming? At the cells. Cells are present in the tissue. CO2 is released at the tissues. So, here CO2 partial pressure will be more, and in the deoxygenated blood also CO2 partial pressure will be more. At the other two sites, alveoli and oxygenated blood, CO2 partial pressure will be less, that is 40. Let us also talk about the partial pressure of oxygen. In the oxygenated blood, the partial pressure of oxygen will be more. It will be more, right? It is 95. It is more than the partial pressure of CO2. And here in the deoxygenated blood, it will be less. So, here it is less. Partial pressure of oxygen is 40. The lowest value of PO2 is also 40 and the lowest value of PCO2 in the body is also 40. I am not talking about atmospheric air. The lowest value in the atmospheric air is 0.3 mmHg. I am not talking about that. Right? In the body I am talking. So, now you understood everywhere. Whatever will be the partial pressure of oxygen and CO2 in the deoxygenated blood, that will be same in the tissues as well. That means tissues and deoxygenated blood, the partial pressure values will be same whether it is oxygen, whether it is carbon dioxide. So here it will be PO2 will also be 40. If you have you have to remember this. You need to remember the partial pressure values. Otherwise, you cannot understand the exchange of gases. If you have remembered now, if you have understood these partial pressure values, then let us see how the exchange of gases will occur. See, let us start from the exchange of oxygen. Let us start from the exchange of oxygen. What is the partial pressure outside? 159. What is the partial pressure in the alveoli? 104. I have told you gas will move from high partial pressure to low partial pressure. So oxygen is going to come into the alveoli. Then which blood is coming into the alveoli? Which blood is coming here? Deoxygenated blood. In the deoxygenated blood, what is the partial pressure of oxygen? 40. In the alveoli, what is the partial pressure of oxygen? 104. This is a higher value, this is lower value. So from alveoli to blood, oxygen is going to come. When oxygen will enter into this blood, then the partial pressure of oxygen will increase and it will increase to 95. That means in the blood previously partial pressure of oxygen was 40. Now after coming off oxygen, when this oxygen from the alveoli it has come, then the partial pressure of oxygen has increased from 40 to 95. Alright, now in this oxygenated blood, the partial pressure of oxygen is 95. It is going to come near to the tissues. And what is the partial pressure of oxygen in the tissues? 40. So what is the higher value? 95. From the 95 to 40 value, oxygen will come. Oxygen will diffuse. This is the exchange of oxygen. Now exchange of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is getting evolved. Where it is getting evolved? It is getting evolved at tissues. What is the partial pressure? 45. What is the blood which is coming here? Oxygenated blood. What is the partial pressure? 40. Where it is high? In the tissues. Where it is less? In the oxygenated blood. So that means CO2 will diffuse from tissue to blood. That means CO2 will move from tissue to blood. Then this blood will become deoxygenated blood. That is why the partial pressure of CO2 is going to increase from 40 to 45. Now this deoxygenated blood will go to the alveoli. In this deoxygenated blood, partial pressure of CO2 is 45. In the alveoli, partial pressure of CO2 is 40. That means CO2 is going to diffuse from the blood to the alveoli. Now in the alveoli it is 40 and outside it is 0.3. So CO2 is going to come out of the alveoli into the atmospheric air. So this is how exchange of gases is occurring in our body. So if you have understood this exchange of gases, let us see this from the NCERT figure and let us understand this better. That's what it is shown here and that's what I have drawn for you so that you will understand it better. Now here you can see all these partial pressure values are mentioned. You can see 104, 40 mmHg. You can see from the alveoli the oxygen is coming to the blood. This blood is deoxygenated blood, right? Then it is becoming oxygenated. Oxygenated blood is going into the left heart. From the left heart, the oxygenated blood is going into the tissues and this oxygen is diffusing into the tissues. From the tissues, carbon dioxide is evolving and due to the partial pressure difference in the tissues, CO2 is how much? In the tissues, CO2 is 45 and in the blood which is coming here, CO2 is 40. So CO2 is going to diffuse into the blood. Blood will become deoxygenated blood. This deoxygenated blood is received by the right heart. This is the right heart, right atrium. From the right atrium, it will go into the right ventricle. From here, the pulmonary artery will arise and it will take it to the lungs. So now in this deoxygenated blood, partial pressure of CO2 is 45 and in the alveoli, partial pressure of CO2 is 40. So CO2 is going to diffuse from the blood to the alveoli. And you know, In the air, atmospheric air, you know the partial pressure values. PO2 is 159 and PCO2 is 0.3. So now here CO2 is 40, here CO2 is less, so CO2 is going to come out. You can see the oxygen partial pressure value is outside 159, inside 104, so it is going to come inside. On the basis of this, some important questions are there which we can discuss now, right? And so that you will get an idea that what type of questions will be asked. This is a table also given in the NCERT. It is very easy to remember the partial pressure values. I have told you the trick. In the body, lowest value of oxygen is also 40. Lowest value of the CO2 is also 40. Highest value of CO2 is 45. Whatever will be the value of PO2 and PCO2 in the tissues, that will be same in the deoxygenated blood. So that is, I think, very easy to understand, right? You have to remember this. You have to remember 159 and 0.3. Whatever in the in the alveoli 104. In the alveoli, oxygen has CO2 has the lowest value. In the alveoli and in the oxygenated blood in our body, 40 is the lowest value in our body, right? Otherwise, the lowest value will be 0.3. But in the body, lowest value is 40. Then, whatever is the value of PO2 and PCO2 in the deoxygenated blood, that will be same in the tissues. Can you see here? PO2 is 40 here, it is also 40 here. PCO2 is 45 here, it is 45 here, right? So you can understand this, and on the basis of this, you can easily do the questions like partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide at alveoli. Just now I have told you, at alveoli the partial pressure of oxygen is 104 and the partial pressure of CO2 is 40. Yes or no? Directly from the table this question has come into the previous year, right? Another question we can discuss, the partial pressure of such type of question can also come, right? Statement based. They will not directly ask you the partial pressure value. They will make some statements. Sometimes they will ask which statement is correct or which statement is incorrect. Sometimes they will directly ask like this. Partial pressure of oxygen in alveoli. Just now we have seen the partial pressure of oxygen in alveoli is 104, right? It is less than that in blood. In which blood? In whatever blood. It will be either 40 or it will be 95. So it is not less. It is more only, na? Right? The partial pressure of oxygen is more than the blood. It is less than that of carbon dioxide. No. Carbon dioxide only has what values? It is 40 or 45 in the body and outside it is 0.3, right? So it is not like that. Equal to that of blood? No. It is more than that in the blood. This will be the answer because in the blood, you know, partial pressure of oxygen is 40 either or partial pressure of oxygen is 95. It is 40 in deoxygenated blood and it is 95 in oxygenated blood. You have seen by the table, the blood. This is the deoxygenated blood, oxygen is 40. This is the oxygenated blood, oxygen is 95. But in the alveoli, it is 104. So it is definitely, it is more than the blood. So that is why the answer will be more than that in blood. This is all about the exchange of gases, and this is the end of the today's class. I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you.